Hey everybody, in this video I'll be playing Stargrave's The Broken Fence scenario, which will be the 6th battle for my Stargrave campaign. Hey everybody, I'm Alan, with Bricks and Blocks Gaming. Tabletop gaming with bricks and blocks and helping to build your gameplay experience. In this battle, Captain Mira and the crew of the Crossbones face off against General Basu and the crew of the Hope Rising. For this video, I'll start by discussing the state of the crews involved in this battle, give a customized story introduction for the scenario, then I'll start the battle. During the Crossbones battle in the Data Vault, they found a lot of technology they could sell, which they used to add an extra quarters, which is a ship upgrade, to the Crossbones. And this allows them to have up to 5 of their soldiers be specialists. But in that last battle, Lieutenant Vereth suffered a permanent injury of lost fingers, which I've changed to a lost hand for ease of representation with my figure. And this injury gives him a -1 to his shoot stat. And I forgot during the battle that he's supposed to be carrying grenades of +1 damage, but forgetting it didn't end up having too much effect on the game. The troops of the Crossbones are a new Grenadier, a gunner, 2 burners, a Pathfinder, a trooper with a shotgun that deals +2 damage instead of just +1, a Chisler, and a hacker robot. In the Hope Rising's last battle at the Sky Mine, they found some decent loot, including a high-powered carbine, and Gol'Bloth learned the destroy weapon power to hopefully blow up some grenade launchers or flamethrowers. Their crew for this battle includes their sniper with their new carbine of +1 shoot and +1 damage, their sentry with a shotgun, their trooper with a carbine, their Pathfinder, their gunner, their medic, their new Grenadier, and the robot that is currently a hacker for this battle. And unfortunately, their tech officer, my old space Lego figure, fell in their last battle. Or did he? Now, let's get to the bricks and blocks of the Broken Fence scenario for Stargrave. Having not expected a battle when he docked at the Sky Mine on Noldubo, General Basu ordered his crew to split up to gather supplies. Unbeknownst to them, System Crash was also present at the crumbling facility, and what Basu had assumed to be just a chance encounter turned out to be another planned ambush by the crazed Techer. During the chaos of the firefight, members of the Crash Override's crew charged the Hope Rising's tech officer, and instead of killing him, they subdued him and proceeded to carry him toward their ship. General Basu's attempts to stop them took down 2 members of System Crash's crew, but they were unable to stop the abduction. Gol'Bloth's mental powers were able to sense that System Crash was not planning to harm their crewmate and friend, but he couldn't tell why they wanted to take him. 4 weeks of searching for their friend had passed when an unexpected message was received from System Crash, explaining the tech officer was alive, healed of his wounds, and bound at an abandoned supply house on the planet of Fraldishine, an industrialized planet once known for creating robotic components. The message also stated a similar transmission was sent to the Crossbones, a transmission that enraged Lieutenant Vereth, who had suffered a horrible gunshot wound to his hand the last time he saw System Crash. It seemed the abduction of the tech officer may have been just to force an encounter between 2 of System Crash's adversaries, attempting to weaken them both. But when the Hope Rising landed on the planet, Gol'Bloth sensed there was something more to the Techer's plans. The Broken Fence begins. My table is set up. We'll roll to see who chooses their side first, and that will be General Basu and the crew of the Hope Rising. For before game powers, General Basu will start out by attempting Armoury on a 9, which he got, and then Toxic Secretion on a 13, which he failed. With the Armoury ability, they'll give their trooper +1 to his damage with his Carbine. For Captain Mira, she'll attempt Mystic Trance on an 8, which she got, and then she will use that to activate Void Blade on a 9, which she got. So Captain Mira will start the battle with her Void Blade ready to go. I'll roll to determine if the central token is a physical loot on an odd or a data loot on an even. And that is a physical loot on an odd. Taking a look at my battlefield, the main setup for this scenario is to create a 16-inch square fence that goes around the center of your board. And instead I've created a wall. So this is an electrified wall that goes around, and it calls for 2 openings to be in the wall on the neutral sides of the table. It also calls for a building to be placed right in the middle of the board, and for a ferox to be placed at each corner. So I'm just using some dogs to represent those. And then the centralized token is either placed on the roof or inside this room. So mine will be inside. I'll just take the roof off kind of as needed to control what's going on inside there. Normally this central building is supposed to be the home of one of your contacts that you just haven't heard from in a while. But in my story, I'm saying that this is kind of a makeshift workshop where my other crew, System Crash and the crew of the Crash Override, have been working on building some robots and droids and kind of collecting parts they need, all sorts of random parts to build something. And they used the tech officer of the Hope Rising to help them do that. And he was left behind when System Crash left, but he is trapped behind this energy field, and so that is going to count as a data loot that they'll have to hack into to free him. And then for other treasures, we have our central physical token, a data token there. There's a physical token up here and a physical token over here. And for special rules with this scenario, at the end of every turn, a roll will be made to find out if this wall will create an electrical shock or if a monster will appear. And for my scenario, since I included guard towers in the corner, I'm saying that any figures on those will not be affected by any electrical shocks that pop up from the wall. A figure that is inside this house can make an attempt to essentially hack into a data loot to turn off the electric fence. And a figure standing against a wall can attempt to essentially break into a physical loot to punch a new hole into the wall. And I will just say that I really enjoyed setting up this scenario. I like this idea for this wall in the middle. I made a little sniper roost over there in that guard tower. And then this structure down here, today I took a trip to my local pick-a-brick store to just grab a bunch of random pieces, and most of that is from that trip, so that was just kind of fun to make that little raised, almost like a train station there. So taking a look at my crews, General Basu set up over here. So he is right here with his gunner, his sentry, and their robot is now a hacker. Here's their trooper with the carbine that's got +1 damage due to Armoury. Around on this side of the building, they've got Gol'Bloth, the first mate, their medic, their new Grenadier, their Pathfinder, and then back there is their sniper with that powered up carbine that he found in the last battle with +1 shoot and +1 damage. And on the other side of the board, taking a look at the crew of the Crossbones, over here we have first mate Lieutenant Vereth with one of their burners and their new Grenadier. On this rocky outcropping over here is Captain Mira with her Void Blade. And then hiding in the trees over here is their gunner, their Pathfinder, their burner, he was badly wounded in the last battle, so he has just 7 health for this battle, their hacker robot, their Chisler, and their Sentry with the shotgun of +1 damage. We'll roll initiative for the first round, and that goes to Captain Mira and the crew of the Crossbones. Captain Mira over here will start things out by moving 6 inches up against this wall. And from there, she is going to attempt to use the droid power. And that power is drone, not droid. She needs an 11. Failure by 8, she will let that fail. And then since this wall has a potential to damage anybody within 3 inches, she's going to use her 3-inch power move to get away from the wall. Over here to General Basu's turn. He's going to activate by himself. And one ruling that I always forget about when I'm setting up is that technically you're not allowed to just move through your allied figures. You have to climb over them like you would for terrain. And I always tend to forget about that when I'm setting up. So I'm going to let it slide this time. Otherwise, General Basu would waste half of his move just moving over these guys. But he's going to start by using coordinated fire on this gunner before he moves. This works on a 9. That's only a 5. He'll let that fail. Then he'll take his power move and move, illegally moving through his allies to right here. In the rest of the battle, I will use that, but just for setup, I never seem to get my figures in the right position to make it so they don't have to climb through their friends. And to make things fair for both sides, Lieutenant Vereth is going to activate by himself and then illegally climb through his ally to run right over behind this escape pod on a double move without activating any powers. Over to Gol'Bloth's turn. He is going to activate with the Medic, the Grenadier, and the Pathfinder. And Gol'Bloth will send the Medic out first. She'll run over here against this wall. And with her second action, she is going to use the essentially open lock function to try to break through this wall. This works just like opening a physical loot token, so she adds her will, and she needs a 14. It's only a 13, so she does not get in. The Pathfinder over here is going to run up and try the same thing. And he has a +2 for his will. Needing a 14, and he breaks through that wall. The nice thing about bricks is it's easy to put a hole in the wall. And now Gol'Bloth is going to attempt the lift power on the Medic. Needing an 11, he gets an 8. He will exert for 3. And lift just says they go in a straight line. It doesn't say that they have to stay in line of sight, so she's going to get pushed or lifted this way. And 6 inches gets her right there into that doorway. And then their Grenadier over here is going to activate, and he's just going to launch a grenade right into that building by that Ferox in there. There is 2 pieces of intervening terrain with this plant here and this wall. So he's got a +3 shoot. He can see the location for +2, but then 2 pieces of intervening terrain, and he's using a grenade launcher, so +2 total. And that is only a 5. He misses that by more than 6, so no grenade this round. And then the Grenadier will run 5 inches right up to here. For the soldier phase, over here for the crew of the Crossbones, this Burner and this Grenadier will both run up here by Lieutenant Vereth. And they're both ready to group activate with him next turn. Next, they'll have their Hacker and their Chisler down here both start running up the battlefield. They'll move to right there. Then their Pathfinder and their Gunner are both going to start heading over this way. And they can get right down here on their double moves. And then their Trooper and their Burner are both going to just run up here by this pile of rocks. And we'll head over to the crew of the Hope Rising. They'll have their Hacker Robot run right up over to here on his double move. And then their Sentry is going to run around here to there. Their Gunner is going to run over here by General Basu on his double move. And then this Trooper here is going to run over to this wall and start climbing it. He can get about an inch up this wall. So I'll just remember that's where he's at. And then over here to their sniper, they wanted to send him up into this tower, but he can't really shoot anything this turn, so instead he is going to run up here against this plant. And from there he is going to take a shot through this wall at that Ferox. So the only intervening terrain is the wall. With the powered up Carbine, this is a +5 against the Ferox is normally +2, but the sniper moved and intervening terrain, so +4 defense. And that is a 20 with +1 damage. Feroxes have 8 armor and 12 health, so he takes 13 points of damage and goes down. Moving to the creature phase, one special thing in this scenario is that creatures will never worry about any enemies outside of the wall. So they'll only move towards figures that are inside the wall. But the target point is the nearest treasure loot token. So this Ferox here will run towards this loot. And the only figure inside this circle, this wall, is this medic, but she's tucked in there so the Feroxes can't see her. So both of these two here will move towards this data loot token. And end the creature phase. At the end of the round, we'll find out what special thing happens. 16. A 16 calls for placing 2 Feroxes adjacent to a random table edge, and that 16 is pointing that direction. So that will put them right beyond the halfway point of this battlefield over here by Captain Mira. And Feroxes are pack animals. That means they essentially group activate together with any figure within 1 inch of themselves. Initiative for the next turn, that goes to General Basu this time. General Basu over here will activate with the gunner and with the sentry. He'll start with having this gunner run over here on a single move, and from there he's got a pretty clear shot at this burner. There's 1 piece of intervening terrain here. Intervening terrain and hasty shot gives the burner a +5 defense against +3 shoot, and that misses. Then General Basu will activate and use the command power on this droid over there. He needs a 10. 17 is successful. Then Basu will power move and move right over to here. And then he'll have this droid activate before the sentry. And the droid, from where he is, he wants to single move over in contact with this and try to open it, but that would put him within 1 inch of that Ferox, which would make him snap into combat. So instead, he is going to just run over to here by his brother, apparently. And from right there, he's going to take a shot at the Ferox. He is just a lowly hacker now, so he has a shoot of +1. And since he moved, the Ferox will get a +3 defense. Oh, it's a critical hit against a critical defense. And that's the first time I think this has ever happened to me in a game of Stargrave or Frostgrave, where I rolled a double critical. On a shooting attack, the defender wins, so that is unfortunately no damage on that Ferox. And then the sentry over here will just double move right inside there. Captain Mira over here is now going to power move back against the wall and attempt the drone power again. Needing an 11, she got it that time. So her drone pops up next to her, and then she is going to move 6 inches over to here, getting away from the wall and out of line of those Feroxes that are going to try to get inside this wall. To the first mate phase, Gol'Bloth here can't activate with anybody because nobody's around him. He's going to run up here next to this Grenadier, and from there he can see through this hole, and he can see past the medic right at this physical loot. So he is going to attempt Break Lock on that. Break Lock works on a 13. He only got a 5. He's going to exert for 8 to open that up and take 1 point of strain. So that deals 9 points of damage to him. He's down to 3 health and wounded. He does still get his power move. He's going to run into this building here. And from there, he's shielded from the outside world, where he can hopefully cast Heal on himself next round. So this physical loot is now available for the picking. Lieutenant Vereth will now activate with his Grenadier and his Burner. And the Burner is going to start things out by moving 5 inches this way. And from there, unleash a wave of flame that can reach this gunner over here. That's a +2 shot, and there's no intervening terrain, but it's a hasty shot, so against +4 defense. And that is a 13, and that deals +2 damage and ignores the heavy armor. So that deals 8 points of damage, stunning the gunner. Lieutenant Vereth will then activate. He can't launch a grenade right now because he's under this overhang, so he's going to run over here up against this circular crate and then do target lock, launching a grenade right over here between the droid and the sentry. He needs an 11. He gets a 13. He does take 1 point of strain. Against the sentry, it's a +3 against +3. And the sentry defends that with a 14. And then against the hacker, it's a +3 attack against just +1 defense. And that is a 21 against 10 armor. That puts this droid down to 1 health. He is a robot though, so he's not wounded, but he's stunned. Their Grenadier is then going to run over here. So he's still within 3 inches of Vereth, and then he's going to launch a grenade at the same spot. So he's a +3, -1 for hasty shot, -1 for grenade launcher, and you can't see the spot, so no bonus. So this is a +1. He needs a 12. That is a 12. So that lands right where he wants it to. This is against the sentry, +3 against +3, and no damage to the sentry. And now against that droid, he does get a +2 for being stunned, so he's a +3 against +3. And that is a 13, dealing 3 more points of damage. So that droid falls in combat right next to his brother there, I guess. And he's unable to get over here to hack his friend out of this electronic prison there. To the soldier phase, the Hope Rising is going to start with having their sniper fire through this hole in the wall over here to this Ferrex. This pile of pieces here creates some intervening terrain. Technically, fallen soldiers wouldn't be intervening because they're not supposed to be still on the board, but even without him, there's still some intervening terrain there. So that gives the Ferrex +3 against +5 shoot. And that is a critical hit. And that does 23 points of damage to the Ferrex, taking him down. Then this sniper, who has now taken out 2 of the Ferrexes, will run through here, through the hole right over to here. Then they'll have this trooper who had started to climb the fence, finish climbing the fence, and run right over here. And from there, he can see Lieutenant Vereth's head, so he's going to take a shot at him. This is a difficult shot. Vereth has +4. It's a hasty shot, and he's got heavy cover. So that gives him a +9 against +3. And he defends that. Next, their Pathfinder out here is going to run through the fence and run over here next to this, so he can try to break his friend out of that next turn. Their medic in here is going to run over and pick up the central physical loot. And then their Grenadier out here is going to run into the complex to right here, and then he's going to lob a grenade, fire a grenade right over here. He's a +3. He can't see the target. He moved, and he's firing a grenade launcher, so he's got a total of +1 to this roll. and gets a 10. So missing by 2 inches moves the target point from the tip of that yellow over here to the tip of that white. And with a 3-inch diameter, 1.5-inch radius, he can't quite reach either of these two figures, so that grenade does nothing, unfortunately, for them. For the Crossbones soldier phase, they've got a bit of a predicament because getting to this loot, they've got 2 of the Feroxes around that. They've got 2 more that are coming, and although they will essentially ignore any figures they don't directly run into on their way in, if those 2 get in there, then they're going to have 4 of them to deal with. So they're going to send their drone over here to just kind of get in the way here. He's going to come over here, just barely more than 1 inch away, so that as soon as they try to move this way, he can force combat. Then their burner over here is going to run right over here and risk being next to that wall so that he can fire his flamethrower at those Feroxes. So with hitting these 2 Feroxes, I suppose this one would be kind of intervening terrain for this one, so this one will get a plus for that. So against the Ferox closest to the shooter, this is a +2 shoot against +3 defense. And that is a 20 with +2 damage. That deals 14 damage taking down that Ferox. Now against the other one, it's got a +3 defense, and it defends that. So this one gets burned to a crisp, and then their shotgun-wielding Sentry over here will run right in front of the burner. And from there, he will fire at the still standing Ferox. And the wall here creates 1 piece of intervening terrain. And I guess I forgot to mention Hasty Shot for the burner's attack, but it didn't really affect anything. So for this Sentry, he's a +2 shoot against +4 defense because of intervening terrain and Hasty Shot. But the shot still misses. Next, they'll have their Chisler here run over here across the tracks, up this staircase, and over in contact with this physical loot. So he's right in there. Originally, he was going to come over and go for the central token, but that's not needed. And the Pathfinder was going to go up there, but now he's going to run over here. 7 inches can get him right inside this doorway, where he will fire his carbine at that Ferox. It's a +3 shoot against +3 defense because of Hasty Shot, and the shot misses. Their hacker is going to just run right over here, close enough so he can potentially get to that data token on a single move. And then their gunner over here is going to further clog things up over here and run to right here on a double move. He's actually going to move behind the hacker so that he's a little further away from the wall. To the uncontrolled creature phase, we'll start with these 2 Feroxes over here. They will try to get to a target point, which is the closest loot, which will be this one over here. At least that's the easiest one to access. And they are pack hunters, so they'll activate together, and when they get by this drone, it will force combat. And one of them will start by attacking with support. So that makes it a +4 against +0 for the drone. That is 19. So that deals 9 damage, blowing up this drone. And with pack hunters, the rules are maybe a little unclear as far as, would the other one then continue his action? But I think that since they activate as one, that they should be moving as one. So I'll just play that they will stay together. They won't split up. And then in the middle here, the only other surviving Ferox here will run over here and engage the Pathfinder. The Pathfinder is a +3 against +2, and the Pathfinder wins with a 12. Pathfinders carry a hand weapon, so that deals 4 damage, and the Pathfinder will choose to stay in combat. At the end of the round, we'll find out what special effect happens. An 18. So an 18 has a Shringrilla appear, and that's a monkey creature, so I'm bringing back these Lego monkeys that had kind of retired from my Frostgrave campaign, but that's the best monkey that I've got. So he shows up down here, and all of the uncontrolled creatures will follow the same priority for only going after figures inside the wall, and they'll try to get to the closest loot. But with the Shingrillas, they are expert climbers, so it will try to climb over the wall if given the chance. Initiative for the next round goes to the pirates. Captain Mira will start out by trying to create another drone to cause some interference over here. She needs an 11, 6, failure by 5. So she'll exert to create another drone, and then plus the strain, she takes 6 points of damage. And then she is going to move and double move into combat. This might be a bad choice, but we'll see how that works for them. General Basu will then activate with this gunner, and he will start with using coordinated fire on the stunned gunner. He needs a 9, which he gets with an 11. Then he will move and power move over to here for some extra defense against grenades being up against that wall. Then the gunner will stand up and use his only action this round to fire at the burner. This is now a +4 against +3 defense, and that is a 14 with +2 damage. That deals 5 points to the burner, and he is stunned. Lieutenant Vereth will now activate with this Grenadier, and he'll have the Grenadier start by lobbing a grenade over this fence. Right about there is where he could get with an arc. He can't see the spot, so he's got a -2 to his roll, so a +1 total. For 16, that lands right where he wants it. Against the Pathfinder, +3 against +3, and that is a 14 to an 11. Well, that's actually a 17, so that deals 7 points of damage to the Pathfinder. And +3 against +3 for the Sentry, and the Sentry defends that one. So the Pathfinder is down to 7 health, and he is stunned. And then Lieutenant Vereth is going to tell his Grenadier to just stay where he is, and then he's going to do target lock to lob a grenade over there as well. He needs an 11, which he gets. So against the Pathfinder is gets +2 for being stunned, so he's a +5 against +3 shoot. But that hits him. That's a 14 for 4 more points of damage. And against the Sentry, +3 against +3, the Sentry defends that one again. So the Pathfinder is now down to 3 health and is wounded. And he will also stay where he's at so that he can continue activating with that Grenadier to launch grenades across the battlefield. Then Gol'Bloth over here in this building is just going to hang out and use heal on himself. He needs a 13 to make this successful, and he gets a 1. And actually he would have had another -2 to that because he's wounded. He could power move, but he'll just stay inside that building for cover. To the soldier phase, this burner here will just stand up from his stun and then lay down a line of fire, flame right at this gunner. It's a wide open shot, so he's a +2 against +3 defense. And that is an 8 to a 9, or to a 10, so that misses. And that's his only action because he was stunned. Then we'll go down here to this drone. The drone is just going to double move over here towards these Ferrexes to force combat as soon as they move. Then we'll go up here to this train station, and the Chisler will attempt to break into that physical loot. He's got a +7 and he needs a 14. That's only a 13, so no luck there. So he'll choose to just wait there and try again next turn. Then their hacker is going to run right over here onto the body of this Ferrex or something like that and attempt to break into that data loot. Same thing, he's got a +7 and that is unlocked. So that pops up right there. And then this gunner is actually going to just run around here to engage this Ferrex and attack with double support. He gets a total of +7 against +2, and that's a 17, dealing exactly 8 points of damage because he's got a knife, which is just enough to take down the Ferrex. Now that the Pathfinder is freed up, he's going to move over here. He wants to come right to this doorway and then shoot at the medic, but This crate here is completely blocking the view from that doorway, so instead he's just going to double move inside. And he can't quite get into combat, but he'll get to... Actually, he'll stand behind this for some cover himself. Then they'll have their trooper here run over to this data token. He can just get to it, and he will pick that up. For the Hope Rising's crew, they'll start with having this now encumbered medic run out of this building. She can run 5¼ inches on a double move to get to right there. Then this Sentry is going to come over here next to this device and attempt to break into it. He has +0 to his will and needs a 14, which he does not get. Then this stunned and wounded Pathfinder will stand up and use his only action to attempt the same thing. Normally he's got +2 will, but he's got a -2 to all rolls, so he needs a 14, which he again does not get. Then their Grenadier here is going to make another attempt to fire a grenade right over here between the Grenadier and Lieutenant Vereth. Firing a grenade gives him a -1, so he's got a +2 to this, needing a 14. 12 is what he would need, but he gets a 1, so that misses. Then he'll just run over here to prevent this Pathfinder from coming out and getting into combat there. Their sniper is then going to run right over here, kind of out in the open. And from there, he's going to take a shot at Lieutenant Vereth. There are 2 pieces of intervening terrain, and he's got heavy cover. This is a very difficult shot. Vereth has a +10 defense against +5 shoot, and he defends that. And I guess Vereth would have had an additional +1 to that because the sniper moved. This trooper, instead of taking that really difficult shot, he's just going to climb down here. He can get just right over to this loot on a double move. For the creature phase, this Shringrilla down here can double move a total of 9 inches, which will let him run over here to this wall, and then it can climb the wall at normal movement. And 9 inches will get him right there to the top. Then moving over here, these 2 Ferrexes will both run into this drone that will force combat. And this one here will attack first. So that's a +4 against +0, and that is a critical hit. And another drone blows up. End of the round, we'll see what kind of event happens. A 5. So a 5 is all figures within 1 inch of the fence take a +0 attack. The sniper is kind of right in between those walls, and so isn't 4 pegs is an inch from that. So the Pathfinder he's good. The medic is far enough away. Over here, the hacker is up against it. The trooper there is far enough away. Mira is actually just barely in range. I should have moved her 1 peg that way. And that burner there will also take an attack. And it doesn't say that uncontrolled creatures are unaffected by it, so that Shringrilla will also get attacked. We'll start with the Shringrilla. It's a +2 against +0. And it defends. Next we'll have Hope Rising's Wounded Pathfinder. So he's a +1 against +0. And that's a critical hit, taking him down. Apparently in his attempts to disarm this device, it short-circuited and just fried him. Then we'll go Hacker, Mira, and Burner. The Hacker's a +1, and it gets hit for 1 point of damage. Captain Mira has a +4, and she defends, and then the Burner has a +3, and he defends that. Initiative for the next round goes to Captain Mira again. Captain Mira down here is going to activate with this Burner that's barely within 3 inches, the Gunner, and the Hacker. She would have liked to have this Trooper be one of the soldiers that activates with her, but he is just beyond the 3 inches. She'll start with having this Hacker droid run over here 6 inches, and from there he's got a clear shot at the Shangri-La. He has a +1 shoot, and the Shangri-La gets a total of +3 because of hasty shot, and the shot misses. Then the gunner here will activate, and he will shoot, and he's got a clear shot from there. And actually taking a closer look from the side angle, the Shangri-La is partially obscured by the wall itself, so that will be light cover. That gives the Shangri-La a total of +4 against +3 shoot, and it defends that as well. He will then run 5 inches this way, which will get him right over here by this doorway. Then Captain Mira is going to use the drone power again. Needing an 11, she gets a 12. Takes 1 point of strain damage. So she'll have the drone pop up right behind her. And then she is going to move and power move right over here in front of the gunner. General Basu is going to activate with the sniper that's just within range of him, and he's actually going to run over here, and he is going to try to break his friend out of that. He has a +4 will and gets a 21. And with that, the energy shield is finally lifted. The tech officer's own captain has come to his rescue. And just as a reminder, he is technically a data loot. Then the sniper is going to run over here by this edge and attempt to snipe the burner. It's a hasty shot, giving the burner a +4 against +5 shoot. And that doesn't hurt him. Lieutenant Vereth will once again activate with the Grenadier, and they'll start with having the Grenadier lob a grenade right down there. Normally a +3 shoot, -1 for using a grenade launcher, and that is a 10. So he fails by 2, and the arrow is pointing this way, so it's going to blow up right over here, so it will still hit the Sentry, but not Basu. So the Sentry is a +3 against +3. And the grenade does hit him with a 13. He takes 2 points of damage. He'll stay where he is, and now Lieutenant Vereth will use target lock, targeting the same area. Successful on an 11. He failed by 7. He is not going to exert for that. Then he will move and power move right over here. To Gol'Bloth's turn, still hanging out in this building. He is going to attempt heal on himself once again. Needing a 15 because he's wounded. He gets a 19. He heals 5 health and he is no longer wounded. And since Gol'Bloth only had 1 action when he activated, he does not get his second action back now that he's healed. So he can't move. He could power move, but once again, he's just going to stay in there for now. Now, I just took a closer look at the rules for this scenario, and I think I did make one mistake regarding this Shangri-La. I've been playing where the monsters will basically ignore everything outside of the perimeter here and focus just on getting inside it. But it looks like all they ignore on the outside is just crew members. So this Shangri-La actually should have run up here and come over here towards that loot rather than coming at the loot inside here. One other thing this means is, since they travel towards the nearest loot, is that if a figure carrying loot leaves the perimeter, they could still get targeted by a monster because they're coming after the loot, not the figure. And now that I've realized that mistake, there's one other mistake I'll point out. This burner was supposed to have activated with Captain Mira, but that doesn't really change anything. He's still going to do the same thing he was going to before, and so we'll just have him go first here in the soldier phase. He's going to run up here, climb up on this, and from there, he's going to lay down a line of fire at this Shangri-La. He moved, and the Shangri-La has heavy cover, which gives him a total of +7 against +2 shoot, and that is defended. And then this data loot carrying Sentry is going to run over here, and actually he's going to move just to there so that if this Shangri-La comes at him, the burner can get in the way there. And speaking of getting in the way, this drone is going to fly over here, and from there shoot its pistol at that Ferox there. The shot is +0 against +3 because of hasty shot, and that misses. And then over to the middle of the board, this Pathfinder can actually lob a grenade out this doorway right down to over here. He can't actually see the target point because the crate and this Grenadier obscure the point, so he doesn't get that bonus. So this is just a +3, and he needs a 12. So that's an 8. He missed by 4 inches, and it goes that way. So this is one of those weird times where 4 inches from the target point would put it over this wall, which always seems unrealistic to do that. So when that happens, I have the distance just stop at the wall, which means the medic would still be in range there, so she'll suffer the attack. It's a +3 grenade, and she is encumbered, so she has just a +1 for defense. And that is a hit for 16. So she takes 6 points of damage and is stunned. And then the Pathfinder is going to run over and engage the Grenadier in hand-to-hand combat. And for their last soldier, this Chisler is going to try another go at breaking into that loot. With a +7, he failed again. And I almost forgot about this burner up here. He's got a couple options. He could either shoot at that sniper or the gunner. And he's going to go with the gunner because he hasn't activated yet this turn. So if he can take him down, they can get rid of one of their actions. So that's a +2 shoot against +3 defense. And the flame is defended. And after that miss, the burner is going to run over here to get into combat with the sniper, trying to make sure he doesn't end up sniping any of their figures. For the Hope Rising's turn, for their soldiers, this medic is going to start out by just standing up, getting out of her stun, and then single moving over to here, 3.5 inches with that physical loot. Then this Sentry here is going to pick up his buddy, and since he counts as data loot, they're going to kind of run together over to here, 5 inches. That puts them right there outside the doorway, and then this Trooper is going to attempt to open up this physical loot. He's got a +0, he needs a 14, and he fails. Then he will run over here 5 inches. Then the gunner is going to run up and he will try to break into this. He's got a +1 will, and he gets 14 exactly. Alright, so he is now in possession of that physical loot. Then inside here, this Grenadier is going to go ahead and attack the Pathfinder. This is a +3 against +3. And the Pathfinder wins with a 13. He's got a hand weapon, so that deals 2 points of damage to the Grenadier, and he'll stay in combat. To the creature phase, we'll start with this Shangri-La. One other thing I just noticed with looking at the rules is that once an uncontrolled creature is within the walls, it will never leave the walls. It's on top of the wall, so I don't think that counts. So he will head towards the nearest loot, which is this Trooper carrying that data loot. But on his path to get there, he's going to run into that burner and get into combat with him. So the burner will force combat, and the burner is a +3 against +2 for the Shangri-La. And the burner gets a 18 total. Shangri-Las have 10 armor, and the burner has a knife, so that deals 7 damage to him. Then we'll go over here to these Feroxes. They'll both run into combat with this drone knocking over the tree. And we'll start with this Ferox attacking. It's a +0 against +4. And those Feroxes take out yet another drone. So that thing blows up, and then we'll see what kind of end of round event happens. A 13. So a 13 is another Ferox, and it's pointing right here to this middle of that edge. So that's right where that medic was planning to run away to. So they'll need a new plan. Initiative for the next round goes to General Basu this turn. General Basu will start out by moving and then power moving over to here. And from there he will attempt the command power on the Sentry. He needs a 10. He only got a 3. He's at full health, so he'll exert for 7. And then this Sentry, since he's unencumbered, is able to run all the way off the board on a double move, securing their data loot, or more importantly, their friend. Captain Mira wants to try to stop the Hope Rising from escaping, but she knows that their team is also getting overrun by uncontrolled creatures, so she is going to move and power move over to here, and once again use the drone power. On an 11, that is successful. Alright, that will pop up right in front of her. Who knows how many drones she's carrying around with her. Over to Gol'Bloth's turn, who's still hanging out in this building. I double checked and he is just within 3 inches of this medic, so they'll activate together, and you'll start by having the medic take a different course of direction here. She's going to run this way. So with her move halved, she can double move 5 1/4 inches to right there. Then Gol'Bloth is going to come out of this building. He'll power move 3 inches to there, then he will attempt lift on the medic. He needs an 11. He gets an 18. That'll move her 6 inches, so he will send her right over here against this wall, and where she's 3 inches away from General Basu. And then Gol'Bloth will run 6 inches over here into these trees. For Lieutenant Vereth, he will activate with this Grenadier, and these guys are actually going to move. The Grenadier is going to run right over here, 5 inches. And from there, he can just barely reach a grenade right here next to this Feryx, which will hit both of them if it is on target. He can see the spot for +2, but he has a hasty shot, and he's firing a grenade launcher, so it balances out, so just his normal +3, and that is right where it needs to go. Against the closest Feryx, it's a +3 against +2, and that is a critical hit, taking down one of the Feryxes, and against the other one, that one does no damage. So after these things have been eating up drones, one of them finally goes down. Then Lieutenant Vereth will move and power move to right there and do the same thing, only with target lock. Successful on an 11, which he gets. +3 against +2, and the Feryx defends that grenade as well. For the Hope Rising's crew, they'll have this trooper run over here to move into combat with this burner, and then he will attack with support. He is a +4 against +3, and the burner wins the 19, dealing 7 points of damage with his knife. The burner will push the trooper out of combat, and then the sniper is going to attack. +3 against +3, and the burner wins again with a 14, dealing 3 points of damage with his knife. The burner will then shove himself an inch out of combat, and since the sniper is freed up, the sniper is going to make a run for it. 6 inches will get him right over here as he drops his special carbine. And he's back in possession of that, and then this gunner is just going to run off the board, securing this physical loot. And then lastly, this Grenadier is going to attack that Pathfinder in there. +3 against +3. And the Pathfinder wins with an 18. The Pathfinder deals 5 points of damage to the Grenadier, and then he's going to push himself out of combat to right there. And then this Grenadier is free to make a 5-inch move over to here. And now we go to the crew of the Crossbones. This burner is going to shoot some flame at this trooper. +2 against +2. And he defends with a critical defense. And then this burner is going to run over here so he can start trying to get over to help his captain as well. From there, we'll go up to this Chisler, who will once again try to break into that physical loot with his +7, and he gets it that time. Alright, so he's carrying the physical loot. He'll run down here, get about halfway down the stairs. We'll just put his loot down there next to him. And then this trooper here with his data token is able to just run off the board, securing that. Then this drone over here somewhere is going to run around here, not into combat, but within an inch. This gunner in here will move 7.5 inches right up here next to Mira. I think they're going to have that burner just stand there and keep that Shangri-La busy. Then this Pathfinder in here, he's going to attempt to shut down the electric fence. So any figure inside or adjacent to the building can make a roll to try to shut down the electricity in the fence, just like opening a data token. So he'll just add his will of +2, and he gets a 3, so the fence is still electric. Then he'll use his second action to run out of the building right over to here. And then lastly, their hacker robot here can actually double move 9 inches into combat with the Shangri-La, so he'll just sit there to add some support. Now to the uncontrolled creatures, starting with the creatures with the most health. We'll have this Feryx attack this drone on his way to try to get that loot. The drone will force combat. This is a +0 against +2 for the Feryx. And that Feryx wins with a 20. That is the 4th drone blown up by Feryx's here. Then to this new Feryx that popped up over here. The closest loot token is the one that's carried by the medic, who's over here behind this wall. So it will run over to her. A double move of 12 inches can get it right over to here. So it's a good thing that lift power worked to get her away from there. And lastly, this Shangri-La here will attack the burner. The burner only has 7 health because he started wounded, compared to the hacker that has 11 health. With support, this is a +4 against +2. And that is a tie, so both deal damage. So with the burner's knife, it only deals 1 damage because of the armor. And then the Shangri-La, they have sharp teeth, which give them +1 damage they deal. So it deals 2 damage against the burner, putting him down to 5. And at the end of the round, we'll see what happens. An 11. And a 9 to 12 is no result. So at this point, since the crews are kind of going in opposite directions here, rather than just spamming some powers here on the next turn or two, I'm going to go ahead and call the game right now. On this turn, the medic here would be able to get off the board with her physical loot, and that Chisler that finally cracked into that case down there would be able to get off the board with that loot. And so we will get to the end game wrap-up. Gol'Bloth wasn't able to get close enough to use his new destroy weapon power because he spent most of the battle with low health after exerting to unlock that central loot token. But I think it ended up paying off as they were able to get 3 total loots off the board. And it's kind of neat to see General Basu actually go in to try to unlock a loot token and rescue their friend. And so it's good to have their tech officer back with them. But their droid fell as he tried to save his friend, as did their Pathfinder. So we'll check their fates. For their hacker droid, he gets a 9, so he is fine. And their Pathfinder, a 12, so he is also fine. For experience points, they gain 30 for participating, 30 for having at least 1 figure reduced to 0 health, 50 for the powers they activated, 60 for unlocking 3 loot tokens, 10 for defeating 2 of the Feryxes, for a total of 180, combined with 5 they already had, gives them 185 to work with, and they will use 100 of that to increase Gol'Bloth's level to 6 and lower the activation for health down to 12. We'll roll to see what their data and their 2 physical loot tokens are. Their data is a 3, and then they've got a 2 and a 6 for physical. So that gets them 150 credits, and these are both trade goods. This one is worth 150, and this one is worth 400. So the 700 credits they found, as well as 390 they already had, allowed them to spend 1,000 to buy the ship upgrade of an extra quarters, which lets them have 5 specialists and 3 standard soldiers. And then they spent 75 to bring back their tech officer as their code breaker. And then just to keep the theme of this team going, they're going to send their Grenadier back to just hang out in the ship. And they've upgraded their robot to the Grenadier position. So essentially just let their hacker go so they could upgrade him. This was kind of an interesting battle for Captain Mira. They weren't able to really do the damage that they wanted to. Her detachment didn't really do a whole lot. It took them quite a while to get into that physical loot especially, but they were kind of bogged down by uncontrolled creatures the whole time. And Captain Mira sent 4 drones after those 2 Feroxes that all blew up. So not that great for that side of the team, but Lieutenant Vereth, his detachment did pretty well, just raining down grenades, kind of like mortar fire from that one side of the board, and the flamer, the burner did a good job as well. But they just weren't able to inflict the damage they wanted. They did get 2 loot tokens off the board. And we'll move to out-of-game powers. Lieutenant Vereth will use the Haggle power. He needs a 12 for this to be successful, which it is. For experience points, they gain 30 for participating. They don't gain any points for having any figures fall in combat. They gain 80 for all of the drones and target lock powers that were used, 40 for opening up 2 loot tokens, 15 for defeating 3 uncontrolled creatures, and 20 for defeating 2 of their opponents' figures. For a total of 185 combined with 35 they already had, gives them 220, and they'll use that to increase Mira's level by 2 and lower the activation number for Dark Energy down to 8 and lower the activation for Drone down to 10, making her now level 19. We'll roll to see what loot they find. For data, they've got an 18 and physical a 3. So that gets them an Advanced Technology Table 2 and 200 credits from trade goods. Their Advanced Technology is a 4, and that is an extended magazine, which makes it so a weapon will not jam the first time they roll a 1 in a battle. Captain Mira has decided to sell the extended magazine that she found, and thanks to Lieutenant Vereth's Haggle ability, they're able to sell that for 240 credits instead of just 200, and combined with the other 200 credits they found and 90 they had saved up, they were able to go do some shopping, and on the random rolls for what was available, they found a flamethrower of +1 damage that they gave to this burner that did cost 500 credits, so that leaves them with just 30 credits left over. I want to thank you for watching. If you notice any rules I got wrong or have any questions about my gameplay, let me and the community know in the comments below, as my goal with these videos is to create an accurate representation of how to play Stargrave. And if you enjoyed this video, feel free to click like or subscribe so you can keep up with all the content that I'm releasing. I'm Alan with Bricks and Blocks Gaming, and I'll see you on the next video.